in thanking Governing Magazine for the honor. Let me also join in congratulating the other honorees here tonight. Let me thank the sponsors and let me thank all of you for being here. There's been a common theme that's run through this, and unfortunately it's a theme that's rarely seen outside of a circle such as in this room. It's a theme of understanding that politics and public policy can be and should be noble. It's a theme of public service and giving back being something that we should strive for and strive for others to achieve. It's a theme that recognizes the significance and the importance of what the public role really plays in our everyday lives. But unfortunately, for every table that's full here tonight, there are tens of thousands of tables where they decry government, where they decry public service, where they decry the institutions of government. And so that's the only thing I really want to say tonight. And that is that somehow, some way, all of the accomplishments that have been noted here, all of the honorees who have specifically created opportunities or solved problems or engendered the kind of support that caused them to be a recipient of this award tonight. As important as all those things are, I think they pale in significance compared to what is more important than all that. And that's somehow to do all we can to restore the faith of our people in a system of government that has stood us in good stead for over 2 centuries. The cynicism that permeates our society about government is the cancer that can cause all of these accomplishments to go for naught if we don't correct that. And so Governing Magazine really does deserve the award. They deserve the award more than anybody does, because they're holding up the ideal that public service is noble. You know, when I was a boy, every mother wanted their son, I guess you could say in today's world, their daughter, to be president of the United States, or mayor, or governor, or senator. That public service was a noble calling that parents aspired their children to be able to pursue. And now, something happened along the way. Something happened in my lifetime that changes all that. It causes the majority of our citizens to say, I don't want to get involved, I don't want to run for office, I don't want to support somebody to run for office. All those politicians are just alike. They're just going to tell you what you want to hear. It doesn't make any difference what I do or who I vote for. Nothing's going to change. And that cancer is the root evil that has to be eradicated more than anything else. And so your presence here tonight, Governing Magazine's commitment to public service and honoring and recognizing those in public service, has to be replicated across our country. And you have an obligation, I have an obligation, we all have an obligation to go forth and do what we can to change that. Oh, sure, there are reasons that the populace is cynical. Lord knows some of our colleagues have given them just cause over the years. But for everybody who's ever lied to you, broken your heart, stolen your money, broken all those promises, there are countless others like the people who are honored here tonight who do the right thing for the right reason. And that story has to be told because that mindset has to be changed. And it has to be changed starting with young people who are sitting here honoring their mother and others like them. Some people say that this cynicism arose with the death of innocents with the assassination of JFK. Others say, no, it was the Vietnam War, it was Watergate, and the realization of what our own government can do to us. I don't know what the root cause was. I don't know if there was one root cause. All I know is it's a problem that has to be addressed. And what you all are here about tonight is one small step toward addressing it. And what governing is doing is one small step toward addressing it, but it has to go on a much broader scale. There are people in this room who are old enough to remember Nikita Khrushchev. And for those that aren't old enough to remember Nikita Khrushchev, he was a rotund and bully unrefined premier of the Soviet Union. It was the height of the Cold War, and Khrushchev made the famous speech where he threatened America, and he said, "We will bury you," meaning the Soviet Union would bury the United States. As we celebrate these honorees tonight, as we salute the alumni who have been honorees in the past, there is no Soviet Union. It is today a collection of 14 different independent countries, and we are still here. There never was a chance they could bury us unless they were willing to go with us. We both could have blown up the world. There was never a realistic chance they would bury us. You know the only folks that can bury us? It's us. It's us when we forget the institutions of government, when we forget the law, when we forget public service, when we forget 200 years worth of sacrifice, when we forget the people that wore the uniform, that defended the freedoms that allow us to sit here and gather today. The only way we will fail as a country is if we abandon those principles and those beliefs that an educated electorate bring to a democracy. And the cornerstone for that is to support those institutions in public service that are required to create self-government. So let's all pat ourselves on the back because we all deserve it. Everybody here who's been honored deserves the honor that they receive. Governing should be very proud of the fact that they have really kind of stepped out and broken the mold from the majority of the folks who just want to print bad stuff about politics or public service. And then let's go back to work and recognize that we don't want to be the dinosaurs. We don't want to be the extinct generation that lost its way, that forgot what got us to where we are. Because with all its faults, with everyone who's ever broken your heart, with all the mistakes that have been made, it's still the greatest form of self-government ever created on this planet. This country is still the greatest experiment in democracy in the history of the globe. And it deserves to be maintained and sustained. And that only happens when good people get involved in public service. Thank you for what you've done. Now let's go do more.